I do recall at some point last year hearing that Minister Madu had gotten a ticket, had paid for it. I got fully briefed on all of this, including about the call and the details on Monday afternoon following media inquiries. Shortly thereafter, I called Minister Madu to ask what happened from his perspective and why he made this call. I expressed my serious disappointment that he would have done this. He said to me essentially what he has said in his public statements. I asked my chief of staff to call Chief McPhee to get his account collection of this call that he received from Minister Madu. And again, my understanding is he said essentially the same thing to my chief of staff as he said publicly in media reports. Now, because the chief has said that, well, just to quote, he said, quotes, "To be very clear, he never asked me about the ticket. His concern about what was happening in Lethbridge, concern around what was going on in relation to people of color being stopped." Because of the context of some of those issues, I reached out to a number of respected former leaders in the judiciary, in government, and in policing on Monday afternoon and evening to get their advice on how best to address this. And the consensus of the several people with whom I spoke, the respected former leaders of government and the judiciary, was that having a third-party investigation to identify exactly what happened would be the right approach to determine whether there was any effort to interfere in the independent administration of justice. And that is why I announced on Monday that we will be appointing a independent investigator to look into exactly that question. We have drafted terms of reference. We have contacted some former members, respected members of the judiciary, to see if they would have the time to assist with this kind of investigation. And I hope to be able to have more to report on that in the very near future. Chief McPhee had alleged that he felt this was an interference in the administration of justice, in the independence of the police, or an effort to rescind the ticket if I would have made a immediate decision to remove Mr. Madu from cabinet, but that's not the public statement that we have. Questions have been raised about profiling. I was not on this call. I was not present at the time that this ticket was issued. And I think, given the issues that have been raised, it is appropriate to allow for a little bit of time for an investigation from somebody with legal training who is impartial to provide me with advice on whether this constituted an effort to interfere in the independent administration of justice. So that's what we're doing. As I said, I reached out to a number of nearly a dozen senior former members of both the judiciary and of government to get their advice, and that was the consensus view of the people who gave me advice last Monday. And I think it's conventional with similar circumstances that I've seen.